These are aftermarket shocks on this car, so I'm not sure that these wrench sizes apply, but they have two 11/16 nuts that are holding the shocks on. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they were loosening on them. But I'm going to hold the bottom one and just separate the two. There's pressure on them to keep them from tightening, or loosening rather. And then these are coming off very easily. Sometimes you have trouble with the shocks. There is a flat on the top of that shock right there. If it is spinning, you can get a small wrench on it and you can prevent the shaft from spinning while you're loosening the nut. I wish I could see whether I'm loosening or whether that shaft's spinning. Okay, it's loosening. Okay, now that's all I'm going to disconnect on the shock absorbers. Reason is, now that I'm ready to take the springs out, in the interest of safety, I do not want those springs to go flying whenever I relieve the pressure on them. So because those shocks are bolted on in at the bottom but not at the top, it will allow them to drop down, but yet still keep the spring in. So I'm going to try to do this slowly. You can hear the, okay, it's off of the bridge jack. So the next thing I will do is try and get that top of that shock out of the hole, and I'm going to do that by loosening the bottom. They look to be 1/2-inch bolts holding them on. I'm going to leave that one partially in case this decides to go somewhere. I'm trying to stay out of the danger area if that thing decides to fly. I don't think it's going to. I do believe that all the pressure is off of it. That shock is definitely loose in there, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't know why. Okay, the shock is out, and I'm a little bit baffled as to why that spring didn't drop down farther. Could be hung up against the tower there. This part right here. Gonna shut the camera off and think a couple seconds here. Okay, what I think I'm seeing here is that even the top control arm really doesn't want to move. I think it's because these bolts are holding it tight. So to test my theory, I'm going to loosen those first. Help if I put the right socket on. That's 9/16. And if I can loosen up both sides of this and then move the upper control arm, then I'll have a pretty good idea that that's what's holding the lower one and the spring. So. Front one's loose. I'll loosen the back one now. Okay, that moves now at least with a little bit of effort. So that kind of verifies my suspicion here. So this is a 5/8 socket on the lower control arm. Now I've put the jack back up under it just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere suddenly, and I can stand clear as I let the jack down. Okay, hopefully that's enough. And what I'm going to do now is lower the jack once more. I'm going to tap that with a hammer. I still haven't lowered the jack all the way. It's only got about 1 inch to fall. And I can see the spring is starting to unseat from the bottom end already, so there's not really much pressure on it. No tension on the spring anymore, so I'm going to repeat that process on the passenger side, and then I'll lower the jack because there's no tension on it, there's no danger, and I'll just pull that lower control arm down and take the spring out. Okay, both of the springs are basically loose. I'm going to take and make sure No tension on them. Get rid of the pad for the and the spring is out. Can't be too old, it's still got a label attached to it. I don't know if it's visible on the video or not, but the number is 3832518. So I can find out exactly what springs are in this. Trying to determine whether there's a way to tell top from bottom. Right now, other than the tag, I can't tell one. So probably what I'll do is I'll make a mark on the inside of the top coil, just to let me know how that thing was in there before. And I will end up doing the same thing on the passenger side. Okay, on closer inspection, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a notch right there on the bottom coil of the spring. So these are already marked for top and bottom. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take both of the upper control arms off. Have to find out what sizes they are. Now the thing to be concerned about on the uppers is the way they adjust the camber and the caster for your wheel alignment is by shimming behind this bracket that holds it on. So one of the things we'll want to do is be very careful about getting those shims out, labeling exactly which ones were in which bolt, and go from there. Those bolts I already checked are welded on from the back side, so I can just put a wrench on this side of them and take them off.